Now tonight's chapter. The Silver Wolf Queen. Chapter 9. The Ravens in the Forest. The storm lingered for 3 days. Dark clouds smothered the mountains and rain poured from the heavens in endless sheets. The dams and rivers swelled to their fullest, and trails disappeared beneath mud. The forest seemed to dissolve into a world of mist and shadow. For most people, the weather was an inconvenience, but for Darius, it was just another challenge. And for the Hidden Kingdom, it was a blessing. The storm slowed the hunter. At least, that was what everyone hoped. Unfortunately, Darius had spent most of his life proving that hope and reality were often distant relatives. The tracker moved carefully through the ancient forest, following clues so small that another man would have walked past them without a second glance. A displaced stone, a broken fern, a section of moss that had been disturbed recently. Tiny details, meaningless on their own, but together they formed a trail. And Darius was exceptionally good at following trails. The rain drummed softly against his hood as he climbed a narrow ridge overlooking a deep valley. For a moment, he stopped. Something felt different. The air itself seemed different. Cleaner. Stronger. Almost alive. His instincts immediately sharpened. Years of hunting had taught him to trust such feelings. The world often noticed danger before the mind did. Slowly, Darius surveyed the landscape below. Dense forest stretched across the horizon. Ancient trees towered over everything. Mist drifted between their trunks like wandering spirits. Beautiful, untouched, and hiding something, he felt it in his bones. He was close, closer than ever before. The realization should have filled him with satisfaction. Instead, it filled him with caution, because mysteries became dangerous when you approach the truth. Far away, inside the hidden valley, Ivy stood at the center of the training grounds. A circle of warriors surrounded her, watching, trying very hard not to look nervous. Unfortunately, they were failing spectacularly. "You're all staring again." No one responded. Several wolves suddenly became fascinated by the clouds. Others examined their boots. One warrior appeared deeply interested in a nearby fence. Ivy sighed. "Seriously?" Arya folded her arms. "They're just waiting." For what? The warrior captain's expression remained perfectly serious. "For you to stop pretending you don't know why we're here." That answer immediately annoyed Ivy, mostly because she knew Arya was right. Over the past week, the strange instincts inside her had continued growing stronger. Faster. Sharper. Sometimes she knew things she had never learned, and occasionally, very occasionally, something extraordinary happened. Sometimes she could predict attacks before they happened. Ivy picked up the practice sword resting beside her. The familiar warmth returned instantly. Not physical warmth, but something deeper. Recognition. Like greeting an old friend. The sensation still felt impossible. Yet it was becoming increasingly difficult to deny. She stepped into position. The training grounds fell silent. Wind stirred her silver hair. The mountains watched from afar. And for one strange moment, Ivy felt as though time itself had stopped. Then she moved and the sword flashed through the air. Fast, fluid, effortless. A series of strikes flowed together like water descending a mountain stream. One movement became another. Each transition felt natural, instinctive, beautiful. The warriors watched in stunned silence. Even Ivy felt surprised, because every day the movements became clearer, more complete, less fragmented, as though someone somewhere was slowly handing her pieces of a forgotten life. When she finally stopped, nobody spoke. Not immediately. The silence stretched. Then a young warrior whispered the thought everyone else was having. "That's impossible." Orion, standing near the edge of the field, remained silent. Yet his golden eyes carried a troubled look, because he had seen those movements before, 1,000 years ago, on another training field, under another sky, in another kingdom, and the memory unsettled him more than he cared to admit. The same afternoon, a rider arrived at Malakar's fortress. The man looked exhausted. Mud covered his cloak. Rainwater dripped from his boots. Yet he wasted no time. Within minutes, he stood before the ruler's throne. Malakar listened patiently as the report was delivered. The messenger finished and silence followed. The ruler leaned back slowly, dark eyes thoughtful. "Dangerous. The ruins have been confirmed?" The messenger nodded. "Yes, my lord." "And Darius continues advancing?" "Yes, my lord." Malakar smiled. A small smile. The kind that usually preceded somebody else's suffering. "Excellent." The messenger swallowed. The word felt entirely inappropriate given the situation. Yet nobody present was foolish enough to argue. Malakar rose from his throne. The chamber immediately grew tense. Power seemed to follow him wherever he walked. An invisible pressure. A reminder that he had not maintained control of half the continent through kindness. "The ravens leave tonight." The messenger's face paled. Not because he feared the order, because he understood what it meant. The ravens weren't soldiers. They were specialists. Hunters. Assassins. Trackers. The kind of people governments denied existed, and once they were deployed, people tended to disappear. Malakar crossed to the window overlooking the storm-covered mountains. His gaze settled on the distant horizon, on lands he did not yet possess, not yet, but soon would, very soon, find the kingdom. The command echoed through the chamber. Simple, cold, final. Behind him, the messenger bowed deeply. And somewhere beyond those mountains, entirely unaware of what was coming, the silver wolves continued preparing for a threat they still did not fully understand. That night, Ivy dreamed of Silverhold again. But this time, she wasn't standing on the walls. She wasn't in the throne room. She wasn't watching history unfold from a distance. This time she was living it. The dream felt so real that when she opened her eyes within the vision, she briefly forgot she was Ivy at all. For one impossible moment, she was Liriana. The Silver Queen stood upon a balcony overlooking the sleeping capital. Moonlight bathed the city in silver. Thousands of lanterns glowed along winding streets. Music drifted from taverns. Laughter echoed from distant plazas. Families walked beneath moonlit gardens. Children played in courtyards. The kingdom was alive, peaceful, beautiful, and doomed. The realization sat heavily in Liriana's heart, because she knew something her people did not. War was coming, not border disputes, Not political disagreements. Not another temporary conflict between rival kingdoms. Something far worse. Something final. Footsteps approached behind her. Even before turning, she knew who it was. Cashin. The commander stepped onto the balcony. Silver armor reflected the moonlight. His expression remained calm and professional. Yet beneath that calmness lived concern. The kind of concern shared only between people who had fought beside one another for years. For a while neither spoke. They simply looked out over the city. Finally, Cashin broke the silence. The council wants reassurance. Liriana smiled sadly. They want me to tell them everything will be all right? Yes. The queen laughed softly. A humorless laugh. They'll be disappointed. Cashin didn't smile. Because neither of them found the situation amusing. The Eastern Kingdoms have united. The commander stepped beside her. The Northern tribes have joined them. The Western Alliance has pledged support. Each sentence landed like another stone added to an already unbearable weight. Liriana closed her eyes. For generations, the Silver Kingdom had protected itself through strength, through wisdom, through unity. Now all of that was being turned against them. Fear had accomplished what armies never could. It had united their enemies. They fear us. The words escaped before she could stop them. Cashin nodded. Yes, the honesty hurt more than any lie could. Liriana stared at the city below, at her people, at the lives depending on her. What if they're right? The question surprised him. The queen rarely revealed doubt. Yet tonight it slipped through, raw and vulnerable. Cashin studied her carefully, then shook his head. They fear power they don't understand. His voice remained steady, certain. That isn't the same thing. The words lingered between them, comforting, yet not enough, because both of them knew the truth. Fear didn't need to be reasonable. It only needed to spread. And once fear became hatred, history tended to write itself in blood. The dream slowly faded. But before darkness claimed it completely, Ivy heard one final sentence. Spoken so quietly it almost vanished beneath the wind. I won't let them destroy you. Cashin's voice. A promise. A vow. And somehow, a tragedy. Because deep inside, Ivy already knew he would fail. She woke before dawn, breathing hard. The images lingered vividly. The city, the balcony, Cashin. The fear hidden behind Liriana's strength. For several minutes she remained in bed staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything, trying to separate her emotions from Liriana's. The task was becoming increasingly difficult, because every vision left something behind. Not memories exactly. Feelings. Echoes. Fragments. Pieces of another life attaching themselves to her own. A knock sounded at the door. Before Ivy could answer, Arya entered. The warrior captain immediately stopped. You look terrible. Good morning to you too. Arya ignored the response. The scouts returned. That got Ivy's attention. What happened? The captain's expression hardened. Darius isn't alone anymore. The room suddenly felt colder. Ivy sat upright. What do you mean? Arya crossed her arms. We found evidence of additional trackers. For a moment neither spoke. The implications settled heavily between them. Additional trackers. Additional hunters. Additional enemies. Exactly what everyone had been hoping not to hear. Ivy slowly stood while a knot tightened in her stomach. How many? We don't know. The answer wasn't reassuring, not even remotely. Arya's jaw tightened. Whatever happens next. The captain paused. choosing her words carefully. It won't be simple anymore. Several miles away, Darius crouched beside a dying campfire. His eyes examined the ground, studied the surrounding trees, analyzed every detail. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The realization had arrived shortly after sunrise. At first, he couldn't identify it. Only a feeling. An instinct. The same instinct that had kept him alive through countless hunts. Now, several hours later, he finally understood. Someone had entered the forest. Someone skilled. Someone careful. Someone who knew exactly how to hide their presence. Unfortunately for them, Darius knew exactly what to look for. A faint footprint near a stream. A broken twig. A disturbed patch of moss. Tiny clues. Tiny mistakes. Yet enough. The tracker sat back slowly. The evidence pointed toward a troubling conclusion. Another hunter was operating nearby. Not one of the silver wolves. The trail felt different. Military. Disciplined. Professional. Darius frowned. He didn't like surprises, especially inside a forest filled with secrets. Slowly, he reached for his notebook, then stopped. A shadow moved between the trees, gone almost instantly. Too fast for an ordinary man, yet not fast enough, because Darius had seen it. The tracker rose slowly, every instinct immediately alert. The forest around him seemed to grow silent, like it's watching. For several moments, nothing happened. Then a voice emerged from the darkness, calm and confident. Dangerous. You've gotten closer than expected. Darius didn't reach for a weapon. Not yet. Instead, he smiled. A small smile. The kind hunters wear when they finally spot something interesting. Funny. His gaze swept across the trees. I was about to say the same thing. The forest fell silent once more. Two predators. One hidden. One waiting. And neither fully understood who they had just encountered. And that's where we'll leave the story for now. Deep within the forest of no return, Darius has finally encountered someone capable of following his trail without being seen. A hunter meeting another hunter. A predator staring into the darkness and realizing something equally dangerous may be staring back. But who is hiding among the trees? A silver wolf scout? One of Malakar's feared ravens? Or someone neither side expected to find? Meanwhile, Ivy's visions continue to reveal the final days of the Silver Kingdom. Through the eyes of Queen Liriana, she's beginning to understand that the fall of Silverhold wasn't simply a war. It was the result of fear, betrayal, and decisions that continue to shape the world 1,000 years later. And with every memory she uncovers, the connection between past and present grows stronger. In the next chapter, secrets hidden for centuries will begin coming to light, alliances will be tested, and the mysterious figure in the forest will finally step out of the shadows. Seems like sometimes the most dangerous moment in a hunt isn't when you find your prey. It's when you realize that, at the same time, something else has been hunting you too. If you've been enjoying the Silver Wolf Queen, every subscriber helps us move closer to our next milestone, so please do subscribe and keep stories like this coming. Thank you for joining me around the fire tonight. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is there. It's always amazing to see just how far these stories travel. Until next time, be blessed and stay safe out there.